One of those people who is a pretty controversial figure on social media is Lucas Gage. Now, this is a guy who piggybacked on Fuentes' commentary about Bolzarian, saying that he, in fact, was correct in his assessment of Bolzarian. Now, here's a person who recently came out in this conversation by a guy named James D. Russell, Mr. Zio Extraordinaire, saying, a far-right influencer who left the JQ movement disavowed anti-Semitism and is building bridges with the Jewish community. If I could just talk some sense into everyone, we could definitely save people's lives. Lucas Gage, in an era where public figures rarely admit error or pivot from entrenched ideologies, Lucas Gage stands out as a compelling example of personal evolution. Once a prominent far-right influencer deeply embedded in the Jewish Question podcast scene, the U.S. Marine Corps veteran has undergone a remarkable transformation. In June of 25, he began publicly exposing some of the movement's most toxic grifters and anti-Semites. By Valentine's Day of this year, he delivered a sincere, heartfelt announcement. He was finished with the JQ movement entirely. He disavowed anti-Semitism and declared his new mission to be one of building people up and forging bridges with the Jewish community. What followed was not mere rhetoric, but concrete actions, personal integrity, and a growing body of evidence that Gage's change is genuine. Lucas Gage's background already hinted at a life of reinvention. Born in Italy, he immigrated to the U.S. as a child, became a bilingual, blah, 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 joined the Marines, stays devoted father, family man, animal love. That's important. Get on the heartstrings. Quality that reveal a man grounded in human connection rather than ideological combat. In the summer of 25, that authenticity was on full display when Gage intervened to save a fellow veteran friend from suicide. That's great. That is great, but I don't know what that has to do with the story. Through patient counseling and conservation, he helped prevent a senseless tragedy from an American warrior battling PTSD. Episode underscored Gage's commitment to real-world service. The turning point came in June of 25. Long immersed in far-right circles, Gage began using his sizable platform to expose what he saw as the vile and dangerous grifters and anti-Semites. Thriving in the so-called JQ podcastian movement, chief among his targets was Stu Peters, one of America's most vile anti-Semites and guest of this channel. Gage presented compelling online research that reportedly helped spark a two-state investigation into Peters and the alleged J-proof rug pull, a financial scheme that allegedly left numerous white nationalist families on the brink of foreclosure and bankruptcy. By the end of 2025, Gage had grown thoroughly fed up with the low IQ grifting element that dominated parts of the scene. It continues to call out, including Jake Shields, Elijah Schaefer, Morgan Ariel, and Ken O'Keefe. Ken O'Keefe, we're hoping to get on the show soon enough. And a host of additional Jew haters who, in his view, use their platforms to lie, grift, and allegedly steal from their own audiences. Culmination arriving on Valentine's Day in a raw and unscripted announcement, Gage declared that he was done with the JQ Quit movement. He explicitly disavowed anti-Semitism and stated that his future would focus on positive construction rather than destruction. Since that day, Gage has channeled his energy into life coaching and philosophy. He now promotes coaching courses and philosophical content on his new YouTube channel aimed to elevate rather than divide. He also reached across long-standing divides. On April 27th, he sat down for coffee in an extended conversation with Jake Turks, senior White House correspondent and a devout Jewish Zionist. How much longer is this, Colin? Yeah, it's quite a bit. I think we get the idea. Now, why is this a big deal? This is what Lucas Gage, before he got his mind right, had to say about what's going on.
In New York, there were several different mob families, but there was always one on top who ran the show, because they're the CEOs of crime. And this is what the Jewish supremacists are. When I speak of the parasite class, I'm talking about everyone at the top. But the Jewish supremacists are the CEOs of the parasite class. And everyone sees it. They don't like it. And everyone's talking about it. And they don't like it. And all they could do is censor more people, proving they're the ones running the show. But there's always people call, it's not them. I'm telling you, man, you don't got it. You're wrong. Where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? How many people lost their job talking about the Vatican or the Jesuits or the Illuminati or the Builder? No one gets fired talking about these groups. The Freemasons fired this guy off Twitter. No one gets fired for the Freemasons. No one's getting censored for Freemasons or the Bilderbergs or what other stupid Chi-Com nonsense. There's only one group that no one can talk about, and it's the Jews. And everyone knows it. Even the people shilling for them know not to talk about them. Don't bring them up. Don't say anything. Hey, get off my show. Cut the camera. Show me one time someone got kicked off talking about the Jesuits. Never happened, never will happen, because they're not the ones in power. Not the Vatican, not the Bilderbergs, not the Illuminati, not the reptilians, none of these fucking scapegoats. It's Jewish supremacy is the number one enemy of all mankind, and that's why we have to all unite against it.
Take with that what you will, but a person who changes their opinion from that all the way over to that has definitely been gotten to. That's what happens. Threatened, promised, whatever it is. Once you fully understand how the financial system works and why we see what we see and why we can never get out from under it, you understand why these things happen. It's pretty obvious. Now, I'm going to show you a prime example of just that. Now, if you think that this is a joke, trust me when I tell you it's not. I looked into it. I made sure it's not. I thought it was, because trust me, when you see it, you're not going to believe it, but this is real. This is another example of how the Zionist cause games the system.
State of Israel announces the year of Od Yoter Tov, 0% income tax for New Olim. You read that right. 0% income tax for New Olim for those who make Aliyah in 2026.
So effectively what you have here is the ability to make your pilgrimage to Israel, and then you don't have to pay anything. We'll have you set up real nice. This looks like a joke, but it's not. And I'm thinking, you know, all those months ago, when Matt Kim and Peter Saddington, in fact, that was probably at least a year ago, maybe more, when Matt Kim and Peter Saddington did their, what was considered a highly controversial podcast at the time, where it was revealed that they knew people in the banking industry because they were Jewish getting no interest loans, even when the interest rates were sitting at 7%. This is an example of it in real time, where they're telling you, yeah, we have a way to just skip the line. That's what they're doing. This is a supremacy issue. When you consider how broken our system is, this is pretty bad.
And this is in addition to the existing benefits for New Olim in employment and beyond. It's simply Od Yoter Tov. 100% Zionism, 0% income tax. Now is the time to make Aliyah.
Now, I do want to point something out here, which I think is also the silver lining, if there is one, to this story. If they have to resort to this, if this is what they're promising, 0 income tax, just make Aliyah, what that tells me is that they really are getting desperate. They have to convince people to join their cause, and they're having a very difficult time doing that. For far too long, These types of issues have been kept in the shadows, but now they're out in the public eye. And we have to keep them there. It is imperative that we do. By doing so, we allow people to see just how far down the rabbit hole this really goes. And there will be people that will be tempted by this. How could they not be? I don't have to pay anything. All I have to do is make Aliyah and support the Israel cause, and I don't have to pay income tax. I mean, it is what it is, guys. Now, obviously, this is for very specific people that won't have to do it, but they're rubbing it in our face now. Maybe this is something that they were able to keep secret for a long time, but today they can't keep it secret anymore. They kind of have to put it out there because maybe, just maybe, the reason they have to is because they're not having a very successful time in convincing people to support the cause. But maybe they can do what they've always done, which is bribe people to support the cause. And if you do that, maybe you might have a chance, but you have to be hurting real bad if that's what this has come to. This is a level of desperation that I think is real, and you can't ignore it.